Hello, everybody. Welcome back. I appreciate you all coming on the last 2 days with us. And now we're on day 3 of the Girl Heal Summit. And I just want to say how grateful I am to be here and to have witnessed the magic of the last, like I said, 2 or 3 days here. And it's been really impactful, even for me. Like, I'm learning a lot myself. I'm healing through it. I'm doing all the things, taking notes too. So I'm just really grateful to be here. And yes, so welcome to day 3 to the Girl Heal Summit. Girl Lead. We're on Girl Lead. So today is all about stepping into your leadership, owning your voice, and showing the world what's possible when women rise with purpose. I'm so grateful you're here with us today. And, this is truly a movement. We're creating something amazing together, something really transformational. And with that, I'm honored to introduce our next powerful speaker. We got to get right to it because we have a busy day ahead today in the best way possible. I have here on the backstage Kendi Boardman. She is a woman's healing coach, trauma survivor, and creator of the Deep Grace Method. So there we have it. Let's bring Kendi to the stage. Hello.
Hi,
So good to
good
have you
morning.
here. Good morning. It's so early. Way too early for me. I'm not a morning person. Well, there you go, Kendi. I'll let you have it.
Okay. All right. Hi, everyone, and welcome to the final day of Girl Heal Summit. I'm Kendi Boardman. I'm a trauma recovery coach and a brand voice strategist. If you've been able to watch all 3 days of the summit, you know we've had some amazing women share their stories and their passions. And I feel very privileged to be able to share my journey with you today. There was a time I could have listed every lie I believed about myself, but I couldn't name one single truth. Long before COVID, I already knew what it felt like to be in survival mode. I'd walked through seasons of anxiety so thick I couldn't breathe, relationships marked by mental and emotional abuse, and the kind of silence that convinces you it's safer to stay small than to speak. Those years shaped me in ways I didn't understand at the time. They taught me how heavy it feels to carry pain quietly and how exhausting it is to believe you're too broken to heal. 2 divorces forced me to face myself in ways that I never expected. I remember staring at the pieces of my life, wondering if I'd ever feel whole again, and realizing I didn't even recognize the woman in the mirror. Building myself again wasn't glamorous. It was slow, sometimes painful work of finding my worth again. But it was also proof that even after deep pain, healing and identity can be reclaimed, and it can lead to beautiful things like a healthy, happy marriage and a loving, supportive family. While I was wrestling with my own survival and healing, I was also serving on the front lines as a group mediator for women who were surviving domestic violence and working in a homeless shelter for teens, mediating in court, and recently working as a 911 dispatcher. Session after session, day after day, call after call, I heard pain in real time. And that work convinced me of something I try to carry into every space I create today. And that is the right words, spoken with care, can change and sometimes even save a life. My biggest turning point came in 2021. I was already living with anxiety and panic disorder when my husband and I got COVID. He was rushed to the hospital for 10 days, and I was left completely alone, quarantined outside of town, facing my deepest fears, illness and isolation, and wondering if I was going to get my husband back. But in that isolation, something happened that I didn't expect. Through that silence, with no one to lean on but God, I realized I couldn't name a single belief about myself that was rooted in love or truth or grace. And that moment changed everything. I decided I wasn't just going to survive anymore because survival alone was feeding my anxiety and panic. I was going to discover the truth about who I was and give myself the grace to heal at my own pace. Truth and grace. Truth and healing isn't about reliving every detail or proving your story to anyone. It's about gently uncovering reality at your pace without shame. In the deep grace method, we work with 3 layers of truth. The truth of what happened, because naming reality breaks the power of denial. The truth of who you are, because you're not defined by your wounds. And the truth of what you believe, choosing beliefs that heal instead of harm. When I began telling myself the truth about my fears, my worth, and my story, anxiety and panic began to loosen their grip because I was no longer hiding from myself. Grace is what makes healing sustainable. It honors your pace. It makes room for the parts of you that are still in process. Grace says, you can start again as many times as you need without shame. Grace says that your worth isn't up for debate. You don't have to rush to prove you're better. In my own healing, truth lit the path, but grace gave me the courage to walk it. Even on days when I could only take one small step. Truth without grace can feel like judgment. And grace without truth can feel like avoidance. But together, they create a safe, steady rhythm for healing. One that lets you move forward without losing yourself. Truth and grace are the guiding principles of the Deep Grace method. And they're also supported by pillars like safety, emotional and physical, story safe practice, compassion over control, and the belief that healing is a rhythm, not a race. I'd like you to pause with me for just a moment and think. If you could name one truth about yourself right now, something rooted in love and not shame, what would it be? And if you could give yourself grace in one area of your life today, where would it be? If you can, close your eyes and take a slow breath. Now imagine holding those 2 things, your truth in one hand and your grace in the other, as you take your next step forward. This is how healing begins. Not with pressure, but with permission. As I walked through this journey myself and one-on-one with other women, I realized something. This process of holding truth and grace doesn't just work, it creates transformation. And it was put on my heart to make it more accessible, not just in private coaching, but in a safe, guided group experience. And that's how the Deep Grace 12-week program was born. For the first time this fall, I'll be offering this transformational journey in a group setting. And because it's a new program, I'm opening it first as a special founders round. Here's what that means. During this initial round, you'll get access to the full 12-week program at a massively discounted rate. 80% off what the program will cost the next time it runs. The reason for that's simple. Since it's a brand new program, I'll be asking for your honest feedback along the way. What's working? What isn't? What you need more of, and what you wish was included, so that together we can shape this into the most meaningful, life-changing program possible. If your heart feels stirred, even if your knees are shaking, you don't have to decide today. All I'm inviting you to do is join the waitlist. There's no commitment and no pressure. By joining, you'll simply get first access when enrollment opens before anyone else sees it. And more importantly, I'll be sharing tips, some from the course and some from my personal and professional experiences that will help you in your healing transformation, even if you don't sign up for the course. I'll put the link to the wait list in the comments. And as you consider it, I want you to remember, you're not too late. You're not too broken. This could be the beginning of your next chapter, and I would be honored to walk it with you. Thank you.
Wow, Kendi, that was beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing that.
Of putting that in the area.
Yes, definitely drop it on the comments. That way we have access to it and your socials as well. That way we can connect with you.
Perfect.
But that was really beautiful. I needed to hear that.
Thank you. Thanks.
That being said, everybody, gosh, that was so beautiful. I love that. Thank you for that reminder, Kendi. That was very beautiful way to start the summit. And now on stage, I have Jacqueline. She's in the back here. I'll have her join in. Thank you for going earlier, Jacqueline. And I do want to apologize that I realized that I did not send you the emails for the schedule, so that was my apologies. But she was such a good sport to join us early because she didn't have the schedule, and now she's gonna go early. Perfect.
Things will flow the way they need to flow.
Yes, thank you so much for saying that. And then please share with us a little bit more about you and your talk title and what you're gonna share today.
Of course. So my name is Jacqueline Aviles. I've been in the mental health industry for over 28 years. I focus on or specialize in PTSD, also working with military families, conflict resolution, substance abuse, rape, human trafficking, sex trafficking. The list goes on and on. And today I am going to be presenting on, my book later on, like my chapter. But what I wanted to focus on this morning is the healing light. How do you transform your pain into purpose? And how that journey was for me. Because for many that look at many of us that are presenting today, you might think that we're not in the eye of the storm many times. But the reality is that many of us have had to claw our way up to the top and we get knocked down again. And we had to realize, specifically, I had to realize why that continued to happen. And the reality was that I wasn't taking care of myself. I kept allowing my pain to just swallow me whole. And how does someone that is helping, coaching, doing intuitive healing, how do we progress over that? How do we succeed over that? So I had to go on my journey to really realize where all this was stemming from. What was my light? Why was my pain just sucking me dry? And here I was, a mother of two, married, had recently lost my mom in 2009 due to medical negligence. And she passed on Mother's Day. So that really shifted my world. It shifted my job I had to pick up and leave a job of so many years, not knowing where and when, what was I going to do? Where was the next meal coming from? All I knew is that I had to keep pushing forward. How would I get to that core strength? What did I have to do? At that moment, I had no clue. I had no clue what I was doing. All I knew was that I was on autopilot. I had to keep moving forward. It wasn't until just recently where I became very, very ill. And here I am juggling my career, creating my programs, pushing forward, serving my community, my clients. And culturally, I'm taught everyone else is first. As women, everyone else is first. But I was sinking. My light had completely gone dark. My mom had died in my arms. My world was crumbling. I didn't know which way to look. I had to learn that I had to become my own light. And I had to go on a journey. But life, I always say life keeps lifing. We hear that often. This took me on a different turn. And that turn took me into chronic illness to the point where I flatlined 2 times. I was legally dead for about 5 minutes. So being here with you today is a true honor. And what I will tell you, what my journey took me on and what I decided to do was to go on an immersive experience, to think about why I continued to put everyone else first. I was never taught that I should have been number one for me. Because how do you go on and give to others? How do you go on and serve from quote unquote an empty cup? I had to crumble. That's just what had to happen for me to learn my experience, for me to learn that self care is so important. So that's where, after flatlining, after being declared dead and coming back, I still was processing and I realized, wait a minute, something has to change here. How can I continue giving? So I developed core family solutions. And I realized that many of the things, many of the behaviors that I continued were just habits that were handed down to me or lessons that were handed down to me. It's like a baton, it was intergenerational. So I knew I had to create a change, not only within myself and taking that journey of honoring me first. You have to be, this is my most beautiful quote, I would say, positively selfish. Being positively selfish is not wrong. Putting yourself first is not wrong. It's the best thing you could ever do. And in doing that, I was able to begin to process my pain, to transform, to turn on that light again, and to repurpose my own purpose, and to understand that what was handed down to me like a baton, those habits of you're last, you have to take care of yourself first, that had to change. So, in the development of Core Family Solutions, I began a program exactly called that, Core Family Solutions, in which I provide training, coaching, intuitive healing, medicinal and spiritual healing at a sliding scale fee. Why at a sliding scale fee? Because some people don't have the access to funds. Some people don't have certain outlets, and healing is for all. So within the Core Family Solutions curriculum, we do everything from sitting down with your family, discussing where needs to be met, understanding that both the patriarch and the matriarch of the families are important. We put together a core family solutions plan where your family is the core. But we look at where the core problem is stemming from or your core challenge and how can we work towards a solution. This is something that I've been doing for a couple of years now, and everyone will ask me why the sliding scale fee and that I'm cutting myself short. But at the end of the day, I am here to empower. I am here to not only plant a seed of empowerment, I'm not only here to provide services, I'm here to also share my story of transformation and the repurposing of all of that pain through the healing process. Because healing, it's not a race. You are good enough. So you take it one step at a time. And I will be putting in the comments the ways that you can contact me in order to begin your journey. Again, at a sliding scale fee. What I do want to leave everyone with is do not become and continue to be your trauma. Stand into your purpose. Stand in your truth. You are enough. Heal yourself because you're worth it. For those that are moms, remember your children are always looking, they're always listening, even if at times you think that they're not. For those that are going through situations such as PTSD because you've been human or sexually trafficked, like I had, and I will share that in my story later, there are new beginnings. And there are people here amongst all these beautiful authors that are more than willing to help. We extend a hand to each and every one of you to choose any one of our programs, but to choose yourself first. And with Core Family Solutions, that's exactly what we do. Empower you to heal, and empower you to seek what's in your core. And the primary objective is for you to empower, love, and heal yourself first. Thank you for having me today. I will put my information in the comment section.
Thank you so much, Jackie. That was so beautiful. I really loved that talk. I felt very inspired, very empowered. And, it's a lot of feels to be feeling all at once. So thank you so much, Jack.
Try not to cry. I'm like,
Yes, exactly. It was beautiful, though. We needed it. We all needed it. I know it. Well, thank you so much, Jackie. It was beautiful having you. And Jackie may hop on later again and, tell us a little bit more about her story, which we all want to hear. Thank you, Jackie. And that being said, I have our amazing woman here, Lynn, in the backstage, is going to join us here soon. I can't wait to hear her talk too. I've been feeling very inspired by all these talks, and I'm just really grateful to be here. So thank you, ladies, so much for making this happen and being here to share your wisdom with everybody. The level of healing that you embody, it's radiating, and I can feel it. And I know the audience is feeling it. So thank you for being here. Here's Lynn saying no without shame. Oh, you actually gave us a different
Yes.
title.
Yes.
Yes.
The courage to be visible. Yes. I'm super excited to share on this today. Yeah.
Yes. Okay, let's hear it from Lynn. Tell us more about you and that title. We want to hear it.
Yeah. So I'd like to start with a story first. I was hiding in plain sight, not on a stage, not on a microphone, not even on a Zoom networking call. We're going to rewind back to my 10th grade history class. I was there drowning in an oversized hoodie, even though the room was probably about 80 degrees warm and I was sweating profusely. I was slouched down in my seat, praying that my teacher, who was actually my favorite teacher, would not call on me. And this wasn't because I didn't know the answer. I usually did know the answer to the question. It was because I was actually terrified that if I spoke up, the boys that were in that class that were on the debate team were going to twist my words and turn it into what felt like a full-blown attack to me. My throat would tighten up, my heart would pound, my body felt like it just wanted to disappear. And honestly, that had become my strategy for survival. Don't speak too loudly. Don't stand out too much. Don't show too much of who you really are. Maybe you can relate to that. After years of being bullied, I got the message early that being smart, being different, being visible, especially as a girl, and especially as someone who wasn't the right religion for where I grew up, was dangerous. So I learned to shrink. I made playing small look like a personality trait. And I carried that strategy forward into my adulthood and into starting a business. So cut to me as a brand new business owner. My heart was racing anytime I had to introduce myself to a networking event. Forget speaking on a stage. We're talking a 30-second elevator pitch had me panicking. Let me know in the comments if you've ever felt that way too. And even when I would talk about my work, when I could get the words out, I would completely sanitize everything. I would hide the woo, which was challenging to do because I was doing energy work at one point. I would make everything sound scientific, palatable, safe. And that worked until I realized it really wasn't actually working for me. So one day, 8 years ago, I was at a women's networking event, a conference. And I realized as I was sitting there in the audience that my problem wasn't that I needed a better website or that my pricing was wrong or that I had an offer that wasn't great. It was this. It was that I couldn't build a magnetic, meaningful business if I was still hiding who I really was. So when the opportunity came to speak on that stage for 5 minutes, the organizer was like, who wants to stand up and share for 5 minutes? I raised my hand. Part of me had wanted to run to the bathroom when she said that, but another part of me felt myself raising my hand. Even though my heart was pounding, even though my throat was tightening up, and even though I knew that my voice was going to crack and tremble and shake like it had for years when I spoke in front of a group. But I did it. I raised my hand and she called on me. And as I walked up to the stage, something happened. I instinctively began to take these deep, grounding breaths, the kind I had been teaching my clients for years to calm their stress, to calm their pain. I realized I could feel my feet on the floor. I felt my body. I felt my own self. And I tapped into my many years of performing as a dancer, which was one of the few ways I had ever felt safe being seen. And even though my voice trembled, I did not want to run. I didn't want to hide in the bathroom. I actually stood up there and spoke for 5 minutes. And by the end of the 5 minutes, I thought to myself, gee, I could actually maybe do this again. And then after I got off the stage, I got so much support from the women in the room that it helped to begin to erase the years of pain from the bullying that I had experienced in my childhood. And by the end of that event, I stood up and I declared to the room of 100 women that I was now a speaker. I knew it. Well, knowing I was going to do it in a way that supported my nervous system through panic, through fear. It wasn't about just fake it till you make it. It was about meeting myself where I was at. And that declaration to the room was a turning point for me, where I stopped hiding my brilliance and I allowed myself to feel safe being seen. And as a result, I started attracting more clients into my business with ease. I got other opportunities to speak on different stages and podcasts, and my business just began to grow. And so did the impact that I was able to make, which was really, that's what motivates me, is changing lives. And it only worked because I realized the answer wasn't forcing myself to show up. It was creating safety for myself in that process. And now I know this isn't just my story. It's the story I hear from women every day, other healers, coaches, creatives, visionaries, women who know that they are meant to lead, but they're scared to be seen. So they water down their message. They post something on social media and then they ghost. They get a visibility opportunity and then they freeze. And if that's you and you're here listening to me today, I want you to hear when I say to you this: you are not too sensitive. You're not too much. You're not broken. And you're not likely very bad at marketing, but you probably are playing small in ways that are costing you visibility, impact, and income. You see, your message is magnetic for the right clients, but it's only magnetic when you feel safe being seen and heard and speaking your true truth to the world. So I'd like to now shift into a little bit about why we have these patterns, why visibility can feel unsafe, and how to shift that, how to step into courage, and what it actually takes to show up with confidence and authenticity. So I'd like to leave you with a couple takeaways today. So the first thing I want you to understand is visibility feels unsafe because of this. You may be thinking you have a confidence problem. I need to just work on my confidence. I need to feel better about this. But really, you're having an issue with feeling safe. Your nervous system is designed to help protect you. It's designed to keep you safe from danger or perceived danger. And here's what happens when you go to post, record a video, speak, whatever it is, when you're putting your work out there. Maybe it's even just that 30-second elevator speech out there. Your body is not thinking, yay, this is such a wonderful opportunity. It's actually giving you like the red alert, warning, danger. And that's when your survival patterns are going to kick in. So we have a couple different survival patterns, and I'm going to give you just these in a nutshell. I have a resource that kind of goes more into it if you're curious. But in a nutshell, there's the fawn response, which looks like writing a raw, powerful post, sharing your truth, and then you soften it, rewrite it 10 times so that nobody's offended. Or it could also look like you smile on video, you say what you think people really want to hear from you, not your real truth. You could also be in the freeze response. You sit down to go live and you go blank. Even though you rehearsed, you have a script, you know what you want to say. Or maybe you're not working on video, you're writing a caption, a post, and you stare at that caption for hours, paralyzed, editing it, over editing it, until you just finally close down your laptop. Or maybe you post once, you share something, and then you disappear for weeks because your body shut down. Maybe it looks like flight. You reorganize your desk instead of hitting record. You clean the kitchen, you do the laundry, you scroll Instagram for hours instead of posting. You say yes to errands or busy work to avoid making the video or the post that matters. So I'd love to know in the chat if you kind of have one of these that feels most dominant. Are you a fawn, freeze, or flight person? And as you type that in and I get a chance to see what you're sharing, I just want you to know these are not flaws. They're actually protective responses that you learned long ago, probably in your childhood, like you heard from my childhood, when you didn't feel it was safe to speak your truth. You felt like you were told you were too much. Maybe you were bullied. Maybe you had a parent who didn't allow you to fully express yourself. Or I've had many clients who've had an alcoholic parent, a narcissistic parent, like people who don't allow them to feel safe. So these are the reasons why we have these patterns. And if visibility feels hard, it's not because you're broken. It's because your body has been trying to keep you safe. So I'm just going to pop and see if there were any... a little bit of all the things. Yeah. And we certainly can be a mix of all of the things. And I'm curious if anyone is, more dominant for you than another, because sometimes we're like, that's my default, but I can go to these other ones. So let's talk just a little bit about how we can shift these patterns, because the good news is you can retrain your body to feel safe in visibility. This isn't about pushing through, pretending to be fearless, or forcing yourself to be louder. It's not the fake it till you make it advice that you get out there from some business coaches who are like, just do it until it gets easier. I've been there. I tried that. It did not work for me. So if it's not working for you, I see you. Like, I get that. This is about creating safety in real time. So I'm just going to guide you through a very quick practice. We don't have a lot of time today. We're going to just do like a 30-second, 1-minute practice that you can start to use. So I invite you to place one hand on your chest, one hand on your belly. And we're just going to inhale for a count of 4 in your mind. And then exhale for a count of 6. Inhaling again for a count of 4. And exhaling for a count of 6. And now just take a second to look around the room that you're in. I want you to notice colors, shapes, textures. Like, I see a pink mug on my desk. I turn my head. I see my candle holder up there that has purple flowers. So kind of name to yourself in your mind some things that you're seeing. And when we turn our head, it also helps us kind of come out of that locked in fight or flight state. So it's like taking in the whole room can be really powerful. And this is, again, just telling your body, I am safe right here, right now. Even just a few breaths, even just that simple thing can create a moment of presence and a moment of shift. So this is a simple way you can start to get through the overthinking, the going blank, the spiraling before being seen. And now I just want to share a little bit more about how confidence doesn't come from never feeling fear. And courage doesn't mean that your fear disappears completely. Confidence comes from what we call congruence. So your body can feel safe, your words and your presence line up, and that's how you want to show up in the world. Again, we're not faking it. You don't have to filter yourself. You get to show up as the real you. And when you are congruent, when all these things line up, people feel your authenticity. Your message becomes magnetic. So imagine, instead of overthinking or hiding, you can share with calm confidence, knowing your body and your nervous system supporting you instead of sabotaging you. So for just a closing here, I would love to invite you to place a hand on your heart, take a deep breath, and just repeat in your mind or out loud after me. I am safe to be seen. My voice matters. My presence is powerful. I am courageous. And just take a breath. Let that land in your body, not just your mind. Just see what that feels like. And if you feel like this was speaking to you and you want to get my free 5-minute practice to use before you go live, you post, you speak, you can grab my embodied visibility activation audio. This is a practice I use myself all the time before speaking at an event like this or posting. You can DM me the word heal on Instagram, and my handle is Heartfire Healing, my business name. And when you DM me that word, you'll instantly get that audio as my free gift to you. So I want to just thank you for letting me share my heart with you today. I hope this message reminded you that your voice and your presence really, truly matter. And of course, if you want to have a conversation about deeper support, I would love to chat with you. I have one-on-one support. I have a brand new group program called Unmuted that's out there in the world. So I'm always happy to respond to you in DMs on Instagram at Heartfire Healing. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Lynn. I did also add some of that on the comments here. So if you would like to share those with me, I can drop them here as well.
Perfect. Great.
Yes. Thank you so much, Lynn. That was so beautiful. I really loved listening to you today. And and that had a lot of impact on me, and I felt personally attacked.
With love.
Love,
I always say things with love, sometimes we
exactly.
need to hear that truth, but it comes from a place of,
Exactly. I
sharing
agree.
your work. You have important work in the world, I know.
I loved it. Yes, it hit me with love. So thank you so much for that.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me today.
Of course. And I will drop Lynn's information in the comments, but I did drop her IG. So, yes, that was really beautiful. Thank you for doing that. Thank you for sharing that. And so, with that being said, we're going to take a small 5-minute break. When we come back, I will do a little speech because I think a few of our speakers that were supposed to be on next couldn't make it today. So I don't know what I'm going to talk about, but I'm going to say something really good. That's all I know. Thank you for inspiring that, Lynn. And yes, so let's give ourselves a good 5-minute break. We'll come on. I'll share something meaningful for a moment, and then I'll let our following speakers that are here tuned in today have a little time to share as well. All right. Welcome back, everybody. I'm glad to be back because we have some of our speakers here actually were able to make it backstage. I'm really glad for that because otherwise I would have been sharing something meaningful without much direction, which is okay too sometimes. But here we go. Behind the stage, we have Mandy here. Hi, Mandy. So good to have you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Please introduce and share your talk title and all the things we want to hear from you.
Okay, I am Mandy Shelley. I am the author and screenplay writer of 40's the New F Word. And I own a spa. And yeah, I wrote this book so women could relate. And the screenplay was first, but I wrote this book so people could relate to what it's like aging, dating, divorce, how life can be messy and raw, but with family, tribe, friendship, and therapy, and realizing your own bullshit that we can really rise above. So that's kind of what the whole book's about. But what I'm here today for is, because this is all about women and feeling good, is I wanted to talk a little bit about the key words, because mine is 40's the new F word, and how F words can pretty much define your life in your 40's. Failure, freedom, finances, fornicating, there's so much more. You can even put your F word that you kind of relate to right now as you get older and life happens to you. And that sounds kind of fun and juicy, right? But honestly, when you're in the midst of some of these F words, they're terrifying. They're absolutely terrifying. Um, so my story goes a little bit like this. I was in a relationship, and my first marriage from 16 to 40, I was with my high school sweetheart. We raised two beautiful children, had a beautiful life together, and then life happens, right? 24 years together, you kind of grow apart. So at 40, I found myself completely single, an empty nester. My youngest daughter was graduating. I started young, obviously, married my high school sweetheart. And I started journaling, and I highly recommend y'all journal. But my journaling was just really to talk about my feelings to myself, right? That's why we journal. And I did some therapy. I was trying to do new things, trying to figure out my path because I was lost. I had always been the mom and the wife, and who am I without those titles? Who are we all with? We always put our own titles on us, right? But who am I when you strip all that away? And so I started journaling. That journaling took me to a really good place of being able to write a book from all my journaling and to write a screenplay. The screenplay was first. But in the midst of the divorce and the midst of all of this, I ended up having to get a double mastectomy. And so now I'm dating, trying to date. I hadn't been with the same partner for 24 years. So now I'm trying to date. And then I have to get a double mastectomy. So again, life just happens to sometimes throw some shit your way. And I really kind of leaned on this year of yes. I took a year to decide what I was going to do. I had an 86% chance of getting breast cancer. I'd had several lumpectomies, several atypical, and a major strong family history with genetic issues. So I took a year of yes to kind of do things that scared me, figure out who I was before I got this mastectomy. And that was my biggest growth. I learned a lot about myself, a lot of things I wasn't proud of, a lot of things I loved. And I decided to do a podcast during all this called 40's the New F Word in 2019. And that just ended up taking me to write a screenplay and write a book. So it just kind of unfolded this way. It was kind of cool. So I actually get to go in Austin to talk about my screenplay and pitch it for the first time. So I'm super excited. But I think that we have to figure out that life sometimes isn't happening to us, it's happening for us. And a lot of crazy stuff happened in my 40's, a lot. And a lot of growth came from it, though, because how we handle it, how we react to it, all the lessons we learn, it's kind of beautiful. Like, honestly, in all the craziness, it was kind of beautiful. I met such wonderful people. I'm able to speak to people and let women know that, Your boobs don't define who you are. This doesn't make you a woman. Your brain and your heart make you a woman, and your thoughts, and and so many things. The media tells us we have to be a size 2 to be, or a size 5 to be, the main character in a movie, to get all the hot men. Well, you don't have to be. You can be a 40 and a size 12, 20, and still get the hot guy, still have the great job, still love your body, still love yourself. And that's kind of what this whole book was for me, and this whole screenplay. Because I think we're told a lot that we can't. We're told a lot that we have to be in a box. We have to look a certain way. We have to act a certain way. And for me, that's just, when life throws you things, you kind of go, wait a minute. No, I don't. No, I can do all these things. So that's kind of why I'm here. What kind of pushed me along the way was trials and tribulations, and what saved me was self-growth, lots of reading, and a beautiful friendship and family support. And I think when you can find your tribe that really supports you, oh my goodness, so many beautiful things can come out of that. And those dang F words, let's talk about those dang F words. So those F words, here's the thing, they can either break you down or build you up, depending on how you handle it, right? So for me, failure that's a big one, right? Failure of a divorce. That's how I felt. I felt like a failure. It isn't the end, though. It's a doorway to opportunity. Every time we feel like we fail, it's a lesson and a doorway to opportunity. We think, again, that life is happening to us, but it's not. It's actually happening for us. And every setback is a chance to pivot, rebuild, and redefine. And I really do believe that. I do believe that, when you're in it, sometimes it's really hard to see the forest through the trees. But when you really step back, you journal, you listen to people who are, doing better than you, or who get to see you on that kind of different level. And they're like, hey, what's going on? Listen to them, pivot, redirect. Then we're going to talk about freedom. Freedom. Freedom sounds so sexy until you're really doing it all on your own. And when you're doing it all on your own and you're making every decision, everything is you. You get to decide where you want to work, what you want to do, how you want to do it, and there's nobody else in your world. That can be terrifying. But yet freedom is also starting anew. It's also redefining yourself completely. What does this look like for me? So I love it. Freedom was hard for me because when you're really used to being like mom and all these, and the wife and all that, and then you just have all this time and you're like, okay, what do I want to do with this? That's the freedom part. Finances, right? We all want to do more, make more, right? So what does money look like for us? What is our belief system with money? Rebuilding after loss and transformation isn't just about money. It's about independence, right? So to me, finances, when you're, again, doing it all on your own, you have to really learn, what does success like? What does it look like for you? It doesn't always have to be $1 million in the bank. Sometimes success is just getting up every morning. Sometimes success is going to the gym. We all have our version of success, but finances play a lot in that, right? Because you have to be able to afford things. So I think really reevaluating your finances and your mindset with money is absolutely huge. And then the last one is fornicating, which, hey, right? But this is not just about sex. This is about claiming your body as it changes. Because as we change, getting a double mastectomy, dating, being a woman, learning what your body is capable of, what it craves, and what lights you up. I always say we need to not live with guilt and shame that society has definitely made women feel like. We need to love our bodies and really own our own sensuality. Because if you own it, man, you got source of power, joy, and liberation. So that is kind of my failure, freedom, and fornicating, finances. They're not dirty words. They're power words. And if you can embrace them, they will transform you into being any woman you want to be. And I really do. I really think that my last 10 years, I just turned 50. I really do think that when you can really get a hold of those words, whatever words resonate with you, those are big ones. Those are big ones for us girls. It really does set the tone for how we're gonna go on with our lives. So I wrote 40 is the new F word because every woman deserves to see stories that reflect the truth, the messy, the funny, the powerful, and we're not alone in our mistakes. It's just the beginning, and we get to write our own stories. So that is why I did what I did, and I just wanted to share that with you. Thank you. And I would love to know your F words too.
Mandy, I love that so much, the F words. I would love to know everybody's F words as well. Please drop them in the comments because we want to
Yeah.
hear it.
Yeah, what F word resonates with you? There's so many. There's falling apart. There's forgiveness. Forgiveness is another huge one, right? Forgiveness
Yeah.
of our own mistakes, of other people. Mm-hmm. Yep.
No,
So
I
true.
agree. I'm reflecting on mine now, but like I said, I would love to hear everyone's in the comments if y'all would want to share. But thank you so much, Mandy. That
You're
was beautiful.
welcome. Thank you.
Thank you. Um, I love that so much. How powerful that you can just journal, and share publicly, like maybe in a book or maybe on a speech or in your social media content. I love that. Mandy really embodied that. So thank you, Mandy, for showing us that. And backstage here, I have Lorelai. She's hopping on next. Hi, Lorelai. So
Hello.
excited to have you here.
Hello. Thank you. Thank you for having me. Should I just jump right into introductions?
Yes, let's hear it from Lorelai. Tell us about you and tell us about your talk today.
Excellent. I am going to share my screen. And I'm going to... Oh, this is not working the way that it did last time. Okay, here we go. Great. Oh my goodness. My apologies. This is not working the way that it did in my rehearsals. Wonderful. Okay, here we go. Hello, my name is Lorelai Kennedy, and my chapter in Girl Heal is called It's Not Just Literacy, It's Liberation. I was born and raised on a rural homestead in Alaska in the 1980s. I had no running water, I had no electricity, and I had no indoor toilet, and it was a pretty terrible way to grow up. I do not recommend it. I am, however, a first-generation college graduate. My mom taught me to read when I was 3, and that really gave me something to hold on to, and I'm one of those people for whom I can say that reading and theater really saved me. I do have over 30 years experience as an actor in film and theater and TV. I'm currently a public speaking coach for women and children, and I also own the only children's bookstore in our region. My education was really important to me. I was not college bound. I did not know that I could go to college until a friend's mom told me about financial aid being available. And it took me 10 years to get my bachelor's degree. It took me 6.5 years out of a 7-year time limit to get my master's degree. What that means is up until the time that I graduated with my master's degree, it took me 17 years to essentially get 6 years of education. If that isn't a lesson in perseverance, I'm not really sure what is. I also work with the Washington Arts Commission. I go into classrooms and I teach teachers how to integrate theater arts and SEL components into their lessons. This is my little bookstore. I own it and run it with my partner, Jason Keene. And we are the only children and family focused bookstore in our entire region for 200 plus miles, covering 4 states. To get anything close to what we're doing, you need to go to Seattle or Portland or Spokane. We're not your typical bookstore. We offer classes, and those classes have a core component of 10 breaths away. It's a social and emotional learning tool that I have developed over the last 30 years of being an actor and over 25 years of being a teacher. All of our classes are play-based and literacy-focused. They focus on communication, collaboration, and confidence. The confidence to walk into a room and know that you belong there because you are a human that exists in this world. I've successfully used it in all kinds of areas, including public school classrooms and correctional facilities. And it's really good for learning how to connect your body and your brain to encourage good choices and self-regulation. And in fact, I'm going to go ahead and teach you the 10 breaths away process right now. So if you're able to, go ahead and find your way to a full sitting position. Put your legs on, or your feet on the floor, and get yourself into a position where your lungs can fully expand. And just give yourself a moment. And I am going to use something called total physical response, which means I'm going to ask you to use parts of your body in order to remember the sequence that we're doing. So first, find a finger and place it gently on your nose. And we're going to breathe in through the nose and out through the mouth, and in through the nose and out through the mouth, and in through the nose and out through the mouth. And here you might feel that your heart is beating, and you might start to feel, oh, what am I doing? We're not here to judge our breath or change it. We're just experiencing the breath coming into our body. We're going to take that finger, we're going to turn it into a hand. We're going to place it on our chest. We're going to encourage our nose breath to go a little bit deeper and meet our hand. So we're going to breathe in and out and in and out and in and out. Great. And you're going to take one hand and you're going to turn it into two hands, and you're going to place that around your belly button, and you're going to encourage your breath to go even deeper past your nose breath, past your chest breath, and down into your belly. Breathe in and out and in and out and in and out. Great. And take your two hands, place them on your legs, walk your fingers to your knees. Take one last big deep breath in and out. And that is the entire 10 breaths away sequence at its core. When I am working with either kids or women doing public speaking training, what we're doing here is giving you an anxiety reducing tool to, before you even start thinking about performing, you're getting your body and your brain ready to go into learning mode. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about how and why it works. Inside our body, we've got all kinds of systems that do things for us. In particular, we've got our nervous system, several nervous systems, and we have our autonomic nervous system. And this is what controls our fight or flight, our sympathetic nervous system, or our rest and digest, or parasympathetic system. The 10 breaths away breathing series always activates the parasympathetic system. And your autonomic system is simply what you can and cannot control inside your body. Those are things like your lung function, your breathing, your involuntary blood circulation, digestion, hair and nail growth, hormones, waste elimination, etc. And I'm going to give you a big spoiler alert. In case you didn't know, the only thing that you can control inside your body is your breath. And we do all get potty trained, but we also know that's not a surefire thing. So I'm going to say it again. The only thing that you can control in your entire body, and therefore the entire world, is your breath. But you control your breath, you control your brain, you make better choices, and you allow yourself a moment to think through what it is you need to do instead of sitting in a place of panic. We have our respiratory system, and it consists of lots of things. We have our nose, our mouth, our pharynx, which is the back of our throat, our voice box, our larynx, our trachea, and our windpipe. And our trachea is responsible for bringing all of the air either in from our nose or from our mouth down into our lungs. The trachea branches off into two bronchi. They are called bronchus separately. You have one for each lung. Those bronchus go into smaller pathways called bronchioles, and those bronchioles turn into alveoli. And this is where the actual exchange of gas from carbon dioxide and air into your body happens. Now that you know a little bit about what's going on inside your lungs, we'll talk a little bit about what's going on inside your brain while you are breathing. We have our brain. What does our brain do? Our brain runs our entire body. It has control over our memory and our thoughts and our body regulation, how we move, whether it's conscious or not. And right in the front, our frontal lobe, this is responsible for everything that takes effort. So making a good decision, speech, learning, problem solving, memory, anything that you need to consciously stop and think about and do, all happens up here. You might know it as the executive function area. We also have our midbrain, and our midbrain is working so hard. It does so many things. The main thing that our midbrain is responsible for is giving us our sense of place in time in relation to objects and other bodies in our immediate realm. In particular, our parietal lobe gives us a way to feel sensations. Our occipital lobe processes our visual cortex, and our temporal lobe is actually where we start to get that sense of fight or flight. It keeps us safe and then alerts us to danger if there is any nearby. Our cerebellum right down here at the bottom of our brain stem, it's the thing that just kind of keeps you upright and functioning a little bit. Now, what I really want you to take a look at is how our breathing and the air that comes into our lungs and the way that it actually carries into our brain. So if you think about our lungs being in thirds, we've got the top of our lungs, and I want you to really notice, look at the bronchioles and look at the alveoli. There aren't actually all that many. So when you are shallowly breathing into just the top of your lungs, and let me tell you, Americans as a whole, we are shallow breathers. We don't take a lot of deep breaths. Our culture just doesn't really do that. So think about how the top third of your lungs correlates with sort of this bottom portion of your brain. So when you are only shallowly breathing, you are only getting enough air into the bottom of your brain just to kind of like barely function and know that you are in a room. Once we allow and learn how to do a little bit deeper breathing, I really want you to take a look at what is in our mid lungs, our chest breathing. This is where we have the majority of our bronchioles and alveoli. This is really where that air is really coming in and exchanging, and it's getting up into our midbrain. So we have a way to sort of check that fight or flight. Is there really a bear coming to eat me? Or is there somebody who's just a 6'4" man that you live with walking down the hallway? And also, take a look at what happens in the bottom third of our lungs, that deep breathing sensation. This is where we branch off into very tiny bronchioles and our alveoli. Look at how far down those go into your lungs. So you can imagine that your deep breathing is then going all the way up into the very front of your brain so that you can stop. You can take a moment. You can make a really good decision that's going to serve you right now. And you can make a decision that's going to serve you in the near future and maybe even in the long-term future. Here's an interesting body fact. The approximate total distance from a nasal inhale to the alveoli is about the half of the length of your body. I want you to really think about that. Sit up straight again and feel approximately where the top of your lungs are and approximately the bottom of your lungs. It fills up most of your chest cavity. So when you're talking about needing to have a lot of air come into your body, think about how much you really have to take a conscious breath in and out so that you can feel as though you have control. When you feel you have control, you do have control. You can control your breath. You can change your breath. Therefore, you can change your brain to help you make good choices and have a really great present moment now and in the future. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Lorelai. I really appreciated that talk because as someone that has really struggled with public speaking in the past, and even though we show up, it doesn't mean it's always perfect, right? Like that you always just show up and you're just like there. It does take that little bit of preparation and that deep breathing, and you can do it, And I think that's what I realized. And so thanks to the support from Lorelai and all the things, you can really get really good at it if you can continue to practice that deep breathing and all of the things that Lynn was saying as well, right? On building that confidence and reassuring yourself that, yes, what I have to share is absolutely worthy, So thank you so much.
Just being able to know that you have a go-to tool. And this is something that I am always telling our teachers and our students when we're in class. It's not just remembering that you have the tool, it is the actual use of the thing, right? Just like when we're rehearsing for our public speaking or anything else, the more you do it, the better you are. And in the theater world, something that we say is you don't rehearse until you can't get it wrong. You rehearse until the only thing you do is get it right. And I think that's really the basis of where knowing that you have a tool to be able to use and go to is really helpful and empowering in so many ways.
I agree. And, really having somebody that believes in you too, a coach, a mentor, someone like Lorelai that, can support you in that journey is everything. So thank you so much for that piece. And I also did just add your links here or your social accounts on the comments. So there we are. But yes, Lorelai, thank you so much.
Thank you.
That was lovely. And, all these speeches are really, they're really transforming me. Even though, I've studied a lot of these things, so I understand them. It's always good to hear it again and hear everyone's different methods. And personally, you're never going to know all the methods, right? But you can study some and you can see what works for you and what aligns for you. And maybe, who knows, you find a mentor that really aligns with you and you can feel more prepared to do the things that you need to do, right? In your business, in your life, right? And well, that being said, I'm excited to introduce our next talk and our next speaker. Hi, Ruchika. I'm so excited to have you here.
Hi, this is awesome. Thank you for the opportunity. I've been listening to day 1, day 2, and day 3, and very powerful stories, and I'm just happy to be part of this community.
Good. I'm glad you've been tuning in and that you've been a part of the community. And yes, please tell us more about you and tell us about your talk, and we're here to listen.
Awesome. Yep. So I want to start with all of you picturing this. I grew up in India, and one of the most common things that I observed was that the feminine is weak and the masculine is strong. I moved to the US almost 20 years ago and started working in the corporate world, and I observed and learned that in order to succeed and get ahead, I had to act like a man. I moved amongst a lot of high achieving men and women. And what I, again, learned from that is you always have to be go, 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 right? You need to show up the same way at all times, no matter how you feel inside. I would love to hear if there's anyone else who's felt that way, because what I learned was I needed to squash my feminine side, the emotional, the nurturing, the ebb and flow in order to succeed. And I was definitely going to do that because I'm a go-getter, right? So that's what I did for years. So I'm Ruchika. I'm a mother of 2 young daughters. I work in the banking industry, and I want to share with you today my life's journey of embracing my feminine side, right? After learning from society and those around me to squash it. And it all kind of came to a head right around the pandemic time when I started to burn out after always being go, 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 two little kids, 1 baby, and not having the permission, not giving myself the permission to pause, to reflect, to rest. So what I learned, and I started with very baby steps, is that we all have the masculine and feminine energies within us. But what we tend to do is squash the feminine side in order to get ahead. We all have a natural rhythm in our body, right? Just like the sun comes up and sets at a certain time during the day, and the different seasons, etc. The thing though is we are taught and we learn from observation or someone telling us that ebbing and flowing with that energy is a sign of weakness, right? I mean, honestly, tell me, how many times have you heard things like, oh, in working out, right? Like, hey, listen, you need to show up. You need to be consistent. You need to go hard, right? Even on the days when your body's telling you to slow down, right? That's the standard that has been set for us, is that we have to do it even if we don't want to, because otherwise we're lazy, we're weak, right? How many times have we observed that, like, some days you want to go and meet, like you need to go meet people, but your heart is not really in it, right? And you don't show up as the best version of yourself. And then there's some days where you just naturally feel you need to rest, but you're trying to be productive. You're trying to take these big to-do lists off items off your to-do list, and it just doesn't feel aligned, and you feel guilty about not doing it 100%. Does anyone feel like that? I'd love to hear in the chat. I know I felt that, right? I really absorbed that. And so for me, what I learned through observation and through switching the script was that we all ebb and flow. And if we can be aware and use that knowledge to our advantage, we will feel more aligned. We will feel more like ourselves and, be able to show up as our best version. So I dove into something called Ayurveda. It is an ancient Indian system of lifestyle and medicine. And Ayurveda concepts taught me that we all have phases. Whether you are a woman with a menstrual cycle or you don't have a menstrual cycle, it also follows the moon energy, right? The ebb and flow of the moon. We have phases that are action, creation, and restoration. That's what they're oriented for. And so if we can use that knowledge to do the action, do our most productive tasks, or the times that we want to really show up, right? We want to present, things like that. during our action cycle, we will naturally feel more energetic and aligned to do so. We have the creation phase, which is usually coincides with our menstruation. You will notice that you have a lot of amazing, brilliant ideas coming up to you in your head during that time. And that's the best time to just jot those down. Not worrying about how are we going to get it done, but just letting your creative juices flow. And then there is a time for restoration. If you try to get your big to-do items done, those that are within your control, during the restoration phase, you're going to feel depleted. You're going to probably feel a little bit more, like something is pulling you back, but you just kind of have to get it done. So if it's within your control, during the restoration phase, it's the time to reflect, go inwards, take it a little bit easier. So what I found is when I started to ebb and flow in these phases, to the extent of the control I have over my social calendar, my work calendar, my own self-care, I just started to feel more aligned. And so for that reason, I now share this, and I actually have a guide that I just came out with this year in which I share, like, how do you harness this energy? What are they, and how do you apply it in your day-to-day life? Now, I want to leave you with just 3 things that you can do today to start becoming more aware of your natural cycles. Number one is meditating. So I'm actually a meditation teacher with a nonprofit called the Art of Living Foundation. And I have been meditating for 25 years. I'll tell you, it's not perfect, but for sure, meditation, those 20 minutes, they allow me to go inwards and get in touch with my own intuition, right? With my own self. So what is my body telling me? The second thing is to allow yourself to track like your energy levels and your actual menstrual cycle, right? So if you're tracking your menstrual cycle, you do that in context of the energy, energy levels that you feel, as well as even things like whether you feel more social or you feel like you're want to go more inward. Because tracking that without judgment over a period of time, let's say a month or 2 months, will give you clues to your own unique natural ebb and flow. Because even within these phases, we all operate a little differently, right? We are unique people. So just allowing yourself to observe without judgment over a period of time, and then utilize that to say, okay, I know I'm not going to feel so great about this in the next couple of weeks. And so I'm not going to overschedule myself, right? If I'm in my restoration phase on a particular weekend, I will probably not overschedule myself, right? And keep it to the minimum. And then the last thing, the third tip is to rest, right? We really, as a society, have underestimated the power of rest. Rest is often seen as laziness or like, oh, she has no motivation, etc. But it is actually in rest that we get the most, not only powerful thoughts, but that ability to restore ourselves so we can actually be more productive when we come out of that rest period. And it doesn't have to be days on end, even a half an hour. Like last weekend, I was not feeling it. And I just gave myself permission to take a 20-minute nap. And that's all I really needed to rejuvenate myself for the rest of the weekend, right? So little small shifts, like it doesn't have to be, massive changes or overhauling your life, but just allowing little changes and to allow yourself to ebb and flow, right? That I say allow because we really, as high achieving women that we all are, right? As ambitious women, we want to do a lot in this world, right? We want to be go, go, go. We have so much to offer, but allowing ourselves to restore within us. And I'm not just talking about like a nice bath, right? I'm talking really like just whatever you need in that moment, letting that happen for yourself, and then seeing the magic when you come back, right? You come back with even more power. So you don't need to slow down. I will never ask you to slow down randomly, right? Slow down when you're in alignment of that, when your body is telling you that, and listen to the body. So, that's my talk today. I would love to connect with all of you. So I'm on Instagram and on my website, which share in the comments. I have a free calendar tracker that you can download in order to just observe over a period of time, like what your energy levels are, and subscribe to my emails where I share a lot more tips. And I have workshops coming up soon in November, so would love to see some of you there as well if you're interested. Download my digital guide from this website and dive into it, right? Give yourself the permission to ebb and flow is what I would say. Let me check if there are any comments. Rest. Yes, the taboo of rest. Exactly. Very true. Yeah, that somehow, it's, I don't know who did that to us, but somehow we're seen as weak if we choose to rest, and we really need to reframe that for ourselves. All right. Well, thank you for connecting, and I look forward to more.
Thank you so much, Rishika. That was so good. You made some really, really powerful points. The hustle culture, right, that was created here in the States is like unreal. And it's leading a lot of people to burnout, to unhappy, unfulfilling lives. And especially women, right? Like you said, we have cycles, we have different needs for rest at certain times of the month, right? And the cycle and the lunar cycle, right? And so being able to pay attention to that is gonna really support a lot of the shifts in your life that need to be made, And I love that you said all of this because I was definitely one who grew up very masculine as well. I became such a doer, such a high achiever that I really, let go of a lot of the things that made me female, like a cycle, And I'm at this stage in life where I'm like, you know what? That's wrong, So I really appreciated this talk. And I think a lot of women were not educated on this subject, at all. And it needs more talk. So thank you so much for that, Rishika.
Yeah, I mean, I think the only thing people talk about is the PMS phase, and it's a joke, right? It's like, oh, she must be going through PMS.
Exactly, it's rude.
It's so rude, right? And I bought into some of that too, like when I was younger, right? I was like, oh, come on, like I'm over this, like I can do this. But I think for me, my turning point was motherhood, and just like, the power of the feminine came to me only after I became a mother. And then I was like, wait, what am I doing? Like, this is powerful. This is not weak, right? And there is a balance. Exactly. Right. And there's a balance because I still have, we all have the masculine and feminine. So we can, I don't want to say code switch, but we can use it where it's needed. Right. There are times when, I work in the banking industry, like I'm surrounded by mostly male energy, even in females. Right. Exactly. So there are times when you need to show up that way. Right. And be like, no, listen, this is what I need. You need to hear me out. And this is where we need to go. And then there are other times where that can be softer. And I didn't see that when I started working 20 something years ago, right? The women in my life were doing what I learned to do, which is squashing and like showing up as men. In fact, I'll tell you another example. They were always showing up in black and blue, right? And which was like the masculine code, dress code, right? And over time,
Yes. Oh my goodness.
right?
Then not allowed to express
Right.
unless you want to be professional, right?
Exactly. Like wasn't seen as professional, but like lately, like I think even after the pandemic, I feel like once we've gone back, like I'm like, girl, like I want to wear my pinks and my yellows and whatever, right? Like this is part of me and part of who I am. And if you feel differently about it, that's on you, right? So it's just it's all encompassing, right? It's in our energy levels, it's in how we look, how we speak, how we show up. And so I think just rewiring our head is important.
Yes, I agree. And I'm really happy that you're out here and you're sharing your voice and your story on that, because it's definitely something that needs to shift. And we want to see more female leaders, but we don't want um, them to not show up fully and in their feminine power, because that's a lot, right? And let's go ahead and add our other talk. I have something in the background here. Give me a sec. Go ahead and start, Amy. I have to catch something real quick, but please share your talk and introduce.
Hi, my name is Amy Sue, and I'm a spiritual mentor. And I'm going to spin my talk off of my chapter, which is Breaking Change, Not Hearts, Ending the Cycle of Love Hurts. And my mission here is to walk with people as they turn pain into power, wounds into wisdom, and really just be able to break generational cycles and old belief patterns, survival patterns. So much of what we do in life comes from a survival pattern. And when you break free from that, what it does for you is it really allows you to be able to live in your God-given identity. Because, you know, the universe, God, whatever terminology you want to use, literally has a way for you, has a plan for you, has a life for you. And that life is the same for everyone. There's not like one special purpose. It's to be happy. It's to live in peace, bliss, joy, and abundance. And we just tend to forget that because we get born into this world and we get programmed from the time that we're born with all everybody else's ideas and identities about us. And we get confused. We have all these masks and we just have to strip those away. And part of that for me was, I want to ask a question first. Have you ever found yourself holding on and enduring something that was breaking you because you thought that it was love? You know, because for years I thought that love meant staying, enduring, sacrificing. But what I was really doing was repeating cycles, and I was in survival patterns, and I thought it was love. I was so confused, you know. From the time I was a child, it was like that. You know, my mom would have beat me, and then she would say to me, "I'm so sorry, I love you, I'll never do it again." And so I learned that love hurts. You know, as long as they say you love you, his family, what am I going to do, right? And I got to survive. So I thought that that's what love was. So later on, when I get in relationships and men are saying things, being terrible to me, and then they say, "I love you," it doesn't matter that they just treated me terribly because they said they love me, right? And I got in an abusive relationship, and I was in that for years. And then my identity, it's going to sound crazy, but my identity, you know, he was always cheating on me and he was terrible to me. But I told myself, well, those girls don't matter because I'm his baby's mama, right? I had an identity and it gave me a significance, right? Even though it's not healthy, it gave me a significance. And I stayed because of that. And then one day there was a new baby's mama. He got another girl pregnant. Not wasn't baby's mama no more. I lost my identity. So in that moment, I went to him and I said, "I'll help you raise that baby. I'll love him like he's my own," which I do. And to this day, I love that boy. But what happened was he wouldn't give me that. He wouldn't choose me. I said, "Just choose me." We'll raise the baby together. You just got to tell that girl that your place is with me. And he couldn't do it. I lost my hope and my identity all at the same time. And so I left, but I left mentally. I left emotionally, physically, sorry, not mentally, not emotionally. And years later, I got a new partner. I'm having kids with him. Life should have been great. But this man still had his claws in me and I didn't even know it. I was still living under his control. I was still living in fear. And as time went on, it got worse and worse. And I was secretly being abused and no one knew about it. I wasn't telling anyone. And it was tearing my soul apart. I was a Course in Miracles teacher. I'm a spiritual mentor. I was teaching people about the light and love of God while living in my dirty little secret that no one knew about. And finally, I had my breaking point when my son came to me. It was my youngest son's birthday. And my son was working for that man at the time and his dad. And he said, I got to go to be with my brother. It's his birthday. And his dad said, work is more important than family. And you need to do this. And was yelling at him and calling him names. And Corey just wanted to be there for his little brother. And he came to me and he said, Mom, I can't take it anymore. I have to leave Dad. And I need you to have my back. In that moment, my love was greater than my fear. In that moment, I had to ask myself a question. And that question that I asked myself was, do I want my kids to grow up enduring pain for love? Or do I want them to grow up in the freedom to choose love? And right now, I want to ask you all that question. Have you ever found yourself in moments where you've been enduring something? Have you ever thought to ask yourself, am I doing this because I'm scared, or am I doing this because it's love? It's a very powerful question that has served me well. I chose my son. I chose love that day. That was just the beginning. It was only the beginning. I had so much healing to do. I had to go through the terror and the fear of attack and all these other things. Psychologically, it didn't really even make sense, but emotionally, it's what my body was doing. And, we can't bypass it. You got to go through it. And luckily, because I was a healer and a mentor, I had many, many tools that I could work with. I did inner child work on myself. I did parts work. I learned to really validate those parts of me that were afraid so that they would stop being afraid. I protected myself. I brought in my inner masculine, my divine masculine. I allowed my divine masculine to protect me instead of needing protection from someone outside of me. There were many things that I did. And I thought I was done. And then one day, Spirit came to me and said, all you've done is get yourself out. You have to go back and set your kids free. Because you're here to break these cycles. You see, my kids didn't have a choice. They didn't know about the abuse that I was going through. They didn't know who their dad really was. They didn't know anything. And I had taught them to survive, not thrive. I had taught them to tolerate abuse, not make it a non-negotiable. And so I had to go back and tell them. And I was scared to death that they were going to hate me. They were going to choose their dad. I thought I was going to lose them. And I got to the place where I was okay with that because my love for them was greater than my need for them. If they walked away from me, that was okay, as long as they had the opportunity to make a different choice. So that's what I did. And luckily, we all got away. And now we all live in freedom. It's not an easy way. It's never easy. But what I will tell you is if this story resonates with you, if you're living in that situation, if you're feeling stuck, if you're feeling like There's nothing you can do. If you feel like it's your fault, you created this mess and there's no way out, I'm here to tell you that that's not true. Because up until now, that may be your reality, but you're the creator. You get to choose. We always get to choose. And love's not found in endurance. It's found in what you choose to create. And so, as the creator of your life, you can make another choice. You can walk away. You can just start healing yourself. You don't even have to walk away. If you can't do that right now, that's fine. When you're ready, you're ready. There's no judgment. You can start healing. Start loving yourself. Start working on yourself. Start understanding the patterns. Do inner child work. I love inner child work. It's one of my favorite things that I get to do with clients. It's life-changing. When you do an inner child healing, you're not the same anymore because you're healing those parts of you that didn't know. That child didn't understand what was happening. It was just being fed things. And you get to go back and help it see it differently. And you get to help it clear the energy and forgive and all of these beautiful things. And when that happens, you're doing it for you. It's just that aspect of you that was young and kind of got trapped. Because what happens is we get trapped in these little moments, right? We have a trauma experience. And it doesn't really matter what age, but a lot of times it happens in childhood too. And when something happens that you can't deal with, that you can't grasp, it gets stuck, right? Your body kind of freeze frames that moment and kind of like hides it from you to protect you. But it doesn't go away. You're still living it. You just don't know it. You don't know that it's controlling your life. You think that you're consciously controlling your life. You have all these thoughts and all these ideas. I want to do this. I want to do that. I'm not going to do this. And I'm not going to do that. But then something happens and you're right back in the same pattern again. And you're like, how did this happen? This isn't what I want. It's because you got a little kid in there that's screaming to be heard, that's screaming to be protected, that's screaming to be loved. And it's saying, danger, danger. No, we can't do that. And so until you address that, you can't fully live the life that you want to live because there's parts of you that aren't in alignment. You're not fully aligned. But when you get those parts to align with you, then you're unstoppable. And then when you factor in God, my view of God is not the same. I was Christian for a very long time. I still love Jesus. I love me some Jesus. Me and Jesus be talking all the time. Love my Holy Spirit. But I'm more of a Course of Miracles girl now. Because what I learned is God is not a God of judgment and wrath and condemnation and all of those things. God doesn't test me and try me and make me live up to these standards. No, that's not what God does. God loves you. God wants for you to be happy. God wants you to have joy, peace, and abundance. It's your birthright. It's what God gave you. And that's where your reality is. But we get confused because of these things that happen. And then we don't know that. And then we don't trust God. And then we blame God. And then we lose that peace because that peace really helps you to be able to heal. That peace really helps you to be able to forgive, right? And when I say forgive, I'm not saying you just forgive them because they did something bad. No, it's not that I'm better than you. I forgive you because, I didn't go through that. I didn't do this and you did it to me and, yada, yada. I'm talking about real forgiveness. I'm talking about understanding that though these people acted horrible, they didn't really know what they were doing. Because see, just like I got programmed to be a victim, they got programmed to be an abuser. And before them, and before them, and before them, and before them. And that's why this cycle breaking is so important, y'all. When you break a cycle, you're not just healing this generation. You're healing the generations to come, but you're also healing the generations before. The work that we do when we do this healing work, when we do cycle breaking work, it transcends all timelines, not just now. It is huge work and it's beautiful work. And some of us are called to do that. And some of us discover that we want to do it, And if that's you, know that you can. It's not easy. It's scary sometimes, but the rewards are well worth it. the peace that you feel on the other side, the freedom that you feel on the other side, and just the sheer gratitude of knowing that it stops here. I ended it so my children don't have to continue it. That is so powerful. And I know that there's many of you out there that are on that road. And if you find yourself on that road, you know, I would love to help you on that journey. And right now I'm offering a possibility call. And if you go into my link tree, it's the first thing. There's a square link there, and you can book a possibility call. And we can just chat. And we can see where you're at, what you need. And even if you're not breaking cycles, any kind of healing, if you need inner child healing, anything, please reach out to me. Let's have that conversation. I'm not for everybody. I'm okay with that. But there's some people that I am for. And even if I'm not for you, what you will get out of that call is you'll get concrete steps to move you forward in your journey, whether it's with me or not. I won't leave you empty handed, and the call will be well worth it. So I look forward to talking to you all. And also, the second link in my link tree is the Kindle book right now. In the book Heal Her, I have that chapter, and there are many, oh my gosh, y'all, there are so many amazing chapters in there. I'm telling you, it's 99 cents. This book is so worth it because these women are powerful. They have been through the mire and the muck, and they have healed so much stuff, and their stories are amazing. So I would definitely, even if you don't book a possibility call with me, I'd get that Kindle book because it is fire. There's so much stuff in there. And I don't even know where I'm at in time. I might have went over. So I just want to leave you guys with the fact that I love you all. I'm here for you. You can do this. You really can. And there is so much support. Thank you for
Yes.
listening.
Thank you, Amy. That was really, really good. Honestly, I was speechless and I have literally no words. So just thank you for that. You did so good. Thank you.
Thank
And
you.
I'll drop your IG here on the comments. And then everybody, I guess we could take a little break. And following this little break, we'll start again at 12. Samantha will be speaking next. But thank you so much, Amy. And thank you,
Thank you.
everybody, for tuning in. We'll break until 12. Hello, everybody. We're back. And I have Samantha here in the backstage. Samantha, are you on now? I don't know if she's there. If she's not, Jacqueline, if you'd like to go up next, that would be lovely. Let's start with Jacqueline since she's here. But yes, everybody, thank you for being here. Really appreciate you all showing up for this and for yourselves. And there's just so much to learn. I'm really looking forward to hearing from Jacqueline again and hearing more of your story, Jacqueline. Hi, Jacqueline.
Hello, everyone. So before I get started on this portion, because I'm going to share a little bit about my chapter, there might be a bit of a trigger. I'm just giving you a trigger warning here for those of you that have gone through PTSD or any source of abuse and victimization. So I want to do a little activity. You hear us all about breathing and giving yourself opportunities to take care of yourself. So during some of my sessions, I use this beautiful breathing, I call it the breathing ball. So I want you guys to center yourselves. You can put both feet on the floor, the ground, wherever you are. And as I expand the ball, you can open your eyes as well. I want you to breathe in and then let it out. Let's try it again. In and out. In with love. And out. As we let go of pain and as we continue our recovering journey that comes with trauma. I was going over my chapter and I was choking up a little bit because many of us don't really take the time to acknowledge what we've been through. Again, we get pushed and pushed, or we push ourselves to just keep moving forward. And we don't pause and think, I did that. We really don't need anyone else's validation, but it's really important to know that we've got ourselves. And now here at Girl Heal, you can see that there is a plethora of authors and just strong women that are here to help you on your journey. I shared before that I am the CEO of Core Family Solutions. I am a first-gen graduate. It did take me 10 years to get my bachelor's as a neurodivergent student. So I do have ADHD, PTSD, and a lot of the Ds, right? And not to make fun or pun out of it. It's just I like to understand that I'm going through this journey. It's a process of evolution. We all have to learn something. I always say that as we transition, for many people, they call it death, but I call it the transition. During our transition, we still go without knowing everything that we want to know. That's just a part of life. So we continue to learn. And one of the things that I want to continue to empower, it's not just healing, it's self-care and understanding more about yourself so you can learn about your whole self and not be one of what I call and just walking around like you're dead inside. So for years I did that. And I've suffered with such chronic illness. A couple years ago, I had a really bad accident. And the doctors came in just, you see this? Just looking like that, saying, she's not going to walk. She's not going to talk. She's not going to do all these things. And with my left hand, because the right part of my body was compromised, I just kept saying no. I just kept writing no on a whiteboard. No, no, no. I choose not to go down this way. But deep down inside everyone, that was one of many of the hardest battles that I had to fight. Having to recover from that, and still to this day, having issues with mobility and movement, going from 107 pounds to 485 pounds, the lack of understanding of what was going on with my body, I just really wanted to give up. And to be honest with everyone, so many times I contemplated on, would it be better for me to transition? How could I be a good mom, a good partner, a good friend, a good sister if I was bedridden? I just felt like I was a waste of space. But it was through my journey, through this journey, that I learned those were thoughts that were also embedded in me as an inner child, as I was going through my journey as a very young kid. One of the memories that will always stick with me as a young child that I still struggle with is of my biological father strangling my mother and holding me there. And when I mean holding me there, I mean tied down to a chair, telling me that I would be better off without my mom. And I apologize if I get emotional, because it's because of that that I rise up. Many people have told me, you're like a phoenix. You keep rising. But I rise because I deserve to rise. I rise because I want to empower others to understand that you deserve to rise. Your children deserve to see you to rise. And you deserve to put a stop to that intergenerational trauma, to those thoughts that were embedded, to those sayings of those doctors that said, she will never or he will never. Because although this is a girl heal book, we all deserve healing. Every day that I get up, I have to remind myself, what is my purpose? Is my purpose to just keep helping others? Is that the priority? It's part of it. But my primary priority is to live, to be free, to free myself from all those thoughts. And we all have the techniques, the tools. Many of us have been to school and we've been training for years. But it's not the credentials, it's your life experience. It's your thought process. When life comes crumbling down on you, what do? Do you turn to techniques and your credentials? You don't. You turn to that, whether you want to call it faith, that unwavering thought process of let's keep moving forward. What do you hold on to? If you don't hold on to yourself, then what are we holding on to? In my chapter, I write, I was not Afro-Latina enough in Puerto Rico. I wasn't American enough here. I was the product of rape and domestic violence. My childhood was filled with memories of horrendous abuse, poverty, incest, numerous rapes, abandonment. I was sexually trafficked by the person that I loved the most. And I had to learn that she wasn't given the proper love. She wasn't given the tools. She wasn't given an opportunity. And it wasn't until 2009, I felt for many years that I had been robbed from my relationship with my mother. And she laid in my arms and she said, I wish I had a mother like you. And looking at her and understanding at that moment, it just clicked. She wasn't given an opportunity, just as many of us weren't given that opportunity. And I had to do better. I had to push past the anger, past the resentment, past the pain, past the tears, and forgive. Forgive her because it wasn't her fault. Yes, we make choices. Many are young mothers. And I had to realize and reframe that although I had been a product of rape, violence, unimaginable violence, that although I had been trafficked, that although I had endured all this abuse, she still chose to keep me. And many will say, you've lost it. But forgiveness is part, and it's a primary part of healing. You forgive yourself, not for others. You forgive others, not for them. You forgive for yourself. You forgive because you deserve to heal, because you're a priority. And that, in essence, creates, I would say, infinite legacy for yourself, for your children, for your family, and for other women. I don't sit here today because I didn't have a million other things to do, or because I just want to expand my name or promote. No, it's because this is a movement that needs to be had. These are conversations that need to be had. We need to talk about it. We need to talk about the things that make us uncomfortable. It's not easy to share these things and to be so transparent and so raw. But I know I'm not the only one here in this room today that has been through horrendous levels of abuse, that has to really swallow your tears and then proceed to give yourself permission to say, it's okay. It's okay to cry. I love you enough because you are enough. I forgive you. I forgive you for not knowing better. How can you know better if you weren't given better? But that doesn't mean you can't do better now. So I empower, I encourage, and with love and peace, I send to each and every one of you such positive empowerment. And I implore that you give yourself an opportunity to heal, to expand, to choose yourself. Because as you do that, that's where true healing begins. Some of the reflective questions that I included here was, I've been going through all the chapters, guys, is that I invite each and every one of you to reflect on your own journey. And it is easier said than done. It's easier said than done to say that we deserve success, peace, and happiness, when for so many years, people would tell me that I was broken, that I was no good. But here I stand because I rose up above all of that. I invite you today to honor yourself and to validate your journey, to love yourself, to hold yourself. My question to you, and I want this to sit with you, is, Have you found your reason to succeed and rise above your abuse? Find your way to forgive yourself what you didn't know. Know that you're here with purpose and that you are loved. Thank you all so much for hearing my story and for sharing this safe space. Love and peace to each and every one of you.
Sorry, I was muted. I was saying that that was just really, really powerful stuff. And I literally, like, I'm at a loss for words again. You ladies have been like blowing me away, literally. And there's just so much power in your words and the way that you're speaking up about things from a place of healing, you know? And it's just really beautiful the way that you're inviting everyone to really tune into that frequency of healing, you know?
We all deserve it.
We
It's a
deserve it.
gift. It's a gift that,
Mhm.
although it may have not been given to the
Exactly.
people who brought us here, we deserve that. You know, we deserve to give ourselves that. And this is
Exactly.
for everyone.
We're healing our family lineage too, which is really beautiful because one thing we're all learning here, right, is that forgiveness is everything, and understanding that they didn't know any better, you know, all the things. It just really is really, really powerful. And I see Amy here on the comments really resonating with your story, and it's really powerful. So
Thank you.
love it. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much, Jacqueline. And thank you for coming on again. I'm so glad you did.
Thank you so much, everyone. Peace and love. Thank you.
That was so beautiful. I'm still like processing this day, and this is what it looks like in real time. Like I literally lost my composure. I don't even know what to say anymore. Like I don't know how to act anymore. So I I think that, you know, we can see it in real time what it means to heal and to lead and to show up and be in community in the process, because you don't have to do it alone, right? You can heal in community, you can heal in family, you can heal in many, many ways, and um, it becomes easier. So let me add Samantha on the stage here. We've been waiting for you, Samantha. Hello, love. You're muted, so if you'd like
Okay,
to mute yourself and share
I am
with us.
so excited. Girl Heal Summit, let's go.
Yes. Were you able to tune into the other speeches?
Oh, absolutely. I was. So I'm going to talk about that as well.
Okay, perfect. Yes. Let's move it. Let's move to it.
Alrighty, let's go. So my name is Samantha. I am the owner of Wellness Evolving. I help busy Christian entrepreneurs and women reclaim their health so they can walk in their divine purpose. Now, I know in these past couple of days, I've seen people from New Jersey. I think Callie was in the building. I know there was a lot of people on the West Coast, right? Washington, Canada. So I just, first of all, want to say, I need you to do me a favor. One, I need you to drop some bouquets in the comments. You know, like the little flowers. It could be like a full-blown bouquet. I know you're like, listen, it is the last day. It is 3:15 and I'm tired. What is this girl talking about, right? I want to publicly say that I am so appreciative and I want to give the flowers to Jen Lara and her Empire Media, because without them, this event would not be possible. And I also want you to recognize yourself for showing up for yourself today, because we know that when we stand in our truth, when we tell our stories, when we validate our feelings, that is where transformation occurs. And this 3-day summit has been exactly that. This is not just a free event for us to connect and vibe. No, transformation is actually taking place. So if you are physically here right now, you are a part of the transformation. So give it up for yourself. So if you don't know, if you follow me on social media or if you haven't been following me on social media, Yes, I see the flowers in the comments. If you have been following me on social media, my title has been What Happened to Octavia. And so God has his own plans. My title is no longer What Happened to Octavia. I think that story is for another time, but I will give you a little glimpse, okay? And so that was a cautionary tale for mothers. But in the past 2 days, we have heard from amazing speakers who've talked about the traumas that they've gone through in their lives, whether that was physical, mental trauma, divorce, losses. Like that is trauma. I don't think that we realize because we are such high functioning women that no, sometimes we need to pause and just realize, yes, that is trauma, right? So we've heard about those experiences from other women. And then on the second day, we heard about embodiment. And so I really had to sit back and I had to talk to my source. I had to talk to God. I don't know what your belief is. Whatever your belief is, that is perfectly fine. But I had to talk to my source and I had to identify what is it that I actually should be saying to these group of women? I don't want to just give them another cautionary tale, even though my story is important, right? Because all of our stories are important. That is our truth, and we need to walk in our truth. But what I also realized was that I need you to be equipped because this is the last day. So I need you to have actionable steps to move forward. Okay, so we'll talk a little bit about what happened to Octavia, but we're also going to talk about getting things in motion. All right, and I will tell you, I literally changed this today. So extend me some grace, ladies. So yes, what was I going to say? Okay, do me a favor. I want you to think back to a time where your child, if you have one child, two children, how many children it is that you have, or if you have if you're a mother figure, tell me in the comments what was that one thing that they were like smitten over. And I mean, that could be a toy, it could be a book, it could be a place. What is it that that child just absolutely loved? Think about that in the comments. And I will tell you why I say that. Because for my firstborn, it was a mall aquarium. And it seems so unassuming, so just like, okay, whatever. But luckily for me, I liked aquariums, right? So I'm like, okay, let's go to the aquarium. And he didn't like the animals that had all of the scales and all of the feathers and big eyes that would just allure any type of toddler, right? He liked an octopus. It was an octopus, y'all. It was an octopus. Okay, right? But here you go, the mother just wanting to just give them all the experiences, do all of the things. I was like, okay, let's go. Seeing this octopus became like a every other weekend, every third weekend kind of event. So by the third time we went, I said, okay, we're just going to buy seasonal passes because at that point, this will be an investment, okay? So we go there and we zip through. Now imagine me with a racing toddler, after we've pet the reptiles and we've fed the parakeets and we've done all of the things, and I'm zipping through there with a stroller and an oversized diaper bag, and it was a mess. It was a mess. So we get to this one area and everything changes, right? Like it becomes a little bit more dark. You could smell the marine life in the air. You see little hands just crawling into the waters to touch the really sharpened or rough starfish, right? And so you realize you were in a different space. There's something different about this aura in this environment. And there we go. There's this tank all by herself with this octopus. And so unassuming, right? But octopus, they're actually quite very intelligent animals. And I learned a lot about the octopus in this time because, of course, I'm the mom. I got to do some, further research, right? So we go and we'll see her sometimes. And in the beginning, she was really standoffish. She may be behind like the rocks, or she will maybe come up just for a little bit. Um, but the more that we came to visit her, the more we saw that personality come out, right? And it was so interesting. Like sometimes if she was shy, she would turn white. And you're like, what does this have to do with anything? Stick with me. So we learned a lot in that time. And I truly believe that God provides us with the specific children or child that we have, because they are put on our path to teach us a lesson, teach us to be able to go back to address those internal issues that we have with ourselves, because they really are mirrors. They really are mirrors. And so by doing so, both of my children have allowed me to hold that mirror up and to be able to change on a daily basis. But I thought to myself, well, what is so fascinating about the octopus? Like, I didn't get it. And it would take some time before I got there. So today, my teacher, my son, he told me today is an exceptional day. He had no idea. He had no idea what was going on today. Whether he knew it or not, he felt it in his spirit. And it was because it is an exceptional day. So today, what I want to do is talk to you about what it looks like to actively walk out this life, to actively walk out being presently in the future, as I call it, because you've heard from the women who've gone through the pains, right? And you've seen the women who are walking in their purpose. And here you are stuck in the middle, trying to figure out, how is this going to work out for me? Like, it's like you're not happy with where you are. You want to go a little bit further, but you don't know how to take the necessary steps. You don't know what that looks like, right? And for a lot of us, unfortunately, sometimes we have to walk that walk. And with wisdom, sometimes we can get wisdom from other people. We can learn from other people's mistakes, but sometimes you have to make those mistakes yourself. And so I say this to say that today I'm not here by happenstance. I am here because it took 2 years of preparation, but it only took one post. It took 2 years of preparation, but it only took one post. And if I could be really honest, can I be really honest with you? It took 2 years of preparation. It took two posts, and it took two women. Drop 222 in the comments. You'll understand why I said that a little bit later. Because society makes us feel like we need to just give up our hopes and our dreams when we become a mother, when we become a wife, when we become an employee, right? Just because you have children, that does not mean that that is your setback. That's not your obstacle. That's your driving motivation. But society makes us feel like we need to subscribe to mommy martyrdom. That's what I call it, where you are doing the ultimate sacrifice for your family, for your children, for the generation that you want to. And it hit me today when I was thinking about how I was going to speak to a group of women, that I heard the source tell me, you don't have to be the ultimate sacrifice. You don't have to make the ultimate sacrifice, because he made the ultimate sacrifice when he gave up his only begotten son for our sins. Mommy martyrdom is done. Baby, that's hustling backwards, and I'm not doing it. Do you understand me? Put a yes in the comments, because I'm not doing it anymore. What I want you to do is move purposefully into your calling. It's not going to look cute. It's not going to have all the aesthetics, but it's going to be small intentional steps that you make over time. And this is something that I talk to with my clients about. And it's through their health, right? Because I help people reclaim their health so they could walk in their divine purpose. You can't do the things that God has called you to do and you're in chronic pain. Your knees are popping and locking and dropping like it's crazy. Trust me, I know. I'm speaking from experience. And I realized, I said, you know what? I don't want to live like this anymore. I had gotten to a point in my life where I said, I'm not happy where I am. I know there is more to life than this. I know that I've been called for greater, and I'm going to see it through. Sometimes we decide we just want to stop because of the discomfort, and it's really hard to push through the discomfort. Trust me, but you have to keep showing up for yourself. You have to invest for yourself. Don't make your reasoning be for your children. Make it be for yourself, because that is how you pour from a full cup. When you're just doing it for your children and you have nothing left, it is easy to give up. It's easy to give up on the marriage. It's easy to give up on the family. It's easy to give up on the job when you're just like, I need a way out. I feel trapped. I feel closed in. Trust me, I get it. So, what I want you to do today, there are some other things that I would like to talk to you about, but for the sake of time, let's get into the steps onto what you need to do to move forward. So some of the takeaways for today: stop doing, start being. Uh, Ruchika had mentioned that she only came into this feminine energy when she became a mother. And my speaking style is a little bit different as a healthcare provider. So I'm going to drop some nuggets for you, right? So it's so interesting that oxytocin, we all know oxytocin, right? That's the love hormone. When you release oxytocin when you're having a baby, that's what helps to produce the contractions. That's what helps to produce the pain, right? But through the pain, deliverance comes, right? That same hormone, oxytocin, that your body's releasing is the same thing that allows you, not even when you are a mother, but when you are a caregiver to someone else, like a loved one, a family member, a parent, that same oxytocin produces heart protective mechanisms to help reduce your risk for heart attack. Like, how crazily designed are we? Like, we are absolutely amazing, right? And so I love the fact, and to me, that is why it is so hard to go back for maternity leave, because there's everything in your heart is ripping. It's like, this just doesn't even seem right. Not even to your mind, but to your heart, to your spirit. Something is not aligned here. And so walking in that feminine energy has allowed me to attract everything that I have been looking for. It's just crazy. It's just crazy. We can talk about this all day. But one of the things you need to start doing is stop doing, start being. Because men do, men hustle. Like we've been speaking about, that hustle culture, it is toxic. It is draining. It is causing burnout. It is causing women to want to leave the workforce and say, I'm done. You can't be an alpha male at the job and then an alpha male at home. Sometimes you will burn yourself out. That's why you hear everybody talking about cortisol levels now skyrocketing, because we are burnt out. Stop doing, start being. That's one thing. Two, what does it look like being presently in the future? The reason why I came up with this term is because your mind doesn't know whether or not you are experiencing something now or if you're experiencing something in the future. But if you show gratitude as if it is already happening right now, you are already closer to aligning with it actually transpiring. Does that make sense? There is an amazing, I think he's a neuropsychologist. His name is Dr. Joe Dispenza. Absolutely love him. You should definitely look into him if you are into mind body, alignment, those kinds of things. And so when you start to show gratitude for where you currently are, some of us get so frustrated with the fact that we're not where we want to be. We are only repelling what we want when we do that, instead of attracting what we want by being grateful in the now. Oh, I'm so grateful for the fact that I have water. I'm so grateful that I have lights on, a roof over my head. I have a car that functions. I have a job that pays my bills, that invests in me. It's all about your mindset. And when you change your mindset, you will start focusing on the here and now, and you start to attract those things even faster. So that's something else. This year for me has been a year of intentionality. And when I say intentionality, I mean being intentional with my words. There is a book called The Four Agreements, and it talks about, by Don Miguel Ruiz, and it talks about being intentional with your words. The things that we speak over our lives, we don't realize that we're planting a seed now that can sprout 20 years from now. And then when we're feeling the attack and we're wondering, well, how is this happening to me? What is going on? What did I do wrong? Sometimes it's what we said. Sometimes it's what other people have spoken over our lives. And so you have to be intentional with those words. I do this to my clients all the time. As soon as they come in and they start to say, oh, well, I knew that I was going to get diabetes because everyone's about to, we shut that down right there, because you don't have to accept that. Yes, we know that genetics plays a part in our health, but research shows that genetics is actually a smaller part than your diet and your lifestyle. Those things take precedence. So that means that even though you started with what seems like a life sentence, you can rebuild. You can rebuild and you can create your own story. And this is exactly what I'm teaching people to do through my health and wellness coaching program. It's not just about health, because when we transform your health, you're going to transform your mind, You're going to transform your body. You're going to transform your finances. This is all encompassing. It is holistic in nature. So another thing that I want you to do is when you're being intentional, I want you to start being mindful about what you are letting into here. What is going into your ear gates and your eye gates? I started to realize things were transforming when I changed what I was listening to. When what I heard was not what was playing on the radio, but what I heard was how to grow and scale my business. What I heard was affirmations for a grown woman. What I heard was spiritual and Christian songs that were uplifting me in my spirit, and I didn't even realize. Not only did I not realize it, that was uplifting me, my kids were singing the music. And then that's when I said, oh my God, I realized what was happening. And as I realized what was happening, I started to again express gratitude for what was happening in the now because I wanted more of that, right? So we want to be intentional with our words. We also want to, something else I wanted to tell you, um, be bold and courageous. The reason why I say that this did not happen by happenstance, that it took 2 years, and the 2 years was me visualizing what I wanted for my life. There was another speaker on here, Ebony um, Riggins, I believe her name was. But Ebony spoke about visualizing what it is that you want. Yes, you don't like where you are, but you can always change the narrative. And for some people, that requires them to leave a state. That requires them to leave the country. That requires them to leave their homes. But what if you can't do that? What does that look like for someone who is well established in their marriage, in their careers, in their life? Does that mean that I can't restart? I absolutely can, and I'm going to teach you how. So the two the 2 years was me visualizing what I wanted my life to look like. And this is why I'm presently today in the future, because that visualization that I was doing is everything that is happening plus more today. I literally would say the same things every day. And sometimes it's not going to look easy, right? Social media makes you feel like, oh, it doesn't have the right aesthetic. It's not going to work out for me. And then people give up. No, just show up the best way that you can. What does that mean for you? Sometimes that means getting on the treadmill and then having to complete it with your toddler walking on it. That's me. I'm talking about me because y'all are perfect. I'm talking about me. That's what happens. But I still show up. And when I show up, more opportunities present themselves for me to be able to do what it is that I want to do until it is what you call a compound effect. It creates a compound effect. So it took 2 years of visualizing to the point where 2 weeks ago, I said, man, well, I don't have the time to do the visualization and the meditation and the prayer and the treadmill. And so I'm like, what am I going to do? So I got on my treadmill. And as I got on my treadmill, I started to run. And as I was listening to the motivational, the meditation by Dr. Joe Dispenza, I no longer needed my eyes to be closed to see what I was visualizing because I had recorded it in my mind so many times. It had become what I know to be true. And so it transpired. And so we have to also we have to show up no matter how many times it seems like you have to restart. Someone said it's okay. You can hit the reset button as many times as you need to. You just don't give up. So it took 2 years of visualization, but finally in the month of June, I said, I'm going to release the control. I'm going to release the control. If anyone else is a control freak, drop it in the comments. It's me. Because it's me. It's me. I had so much control over what I wanted my future to look like. I'm one of the people who's like, I have faith, but God, show me your hands. Because I want to see it all, right? Like I don't want to be surprised. I didn't like changes. I used to say that to myself as a child so much that I programmed it in my mind that I was afraid of change. And so I continued this narrative where I controlled so many things in my life that it became a hindrance to myself, to my family. And so in this time, I've been able to let go. The month of June was letting go. The month of July was blessings. And that was when in July, there were two posts. I said on Threads, the beginning of July, I'm going to speak at a health and wellness event in August in Atlanta. I put it out there because by that time, there was no turning back in my mind. I was Surefire it was going to happen. I didn't know how. I stopped focusing on the how because I'm a how person. I was a how person. I kept focusing on the how, how's this going to work? I don't know. Stop focusing on the how. I focused on the who. I focused on walking the way in which God had told me to walk. And so I put that post out there. And 2.5 weeks later, I saw Jen's post when she talked about looking for speakers for her Empire Media, for the Girl Heal Summit. And that was when I said, okay, I'm presently in the future. This is actually happening. And now you're getting more, it's just more reassurance that you are walking in alignment. And then after that, 2 days later, another post, which is the speaking engagement that I have next month. It is called Wealth and Wellness, which is in Atlanta next month. These things. So when I tell you that you see people and you're like, well, how is that? That's nice. And it's not going to happen for me. It could never happen for me because of X, Y, and Z. You then start to retrain your mind and you need to start to ask yourself, why not me? I can show up like this, right? So it took 2 years. It took 2 posts and it took 2 women. 222, drop 222 in the comments. It took 2 women because it took me walking in alignment with what he had for me and stepping out and investing in myself because this was an investment. I've invested in my children. I've invested in my marriage. I've invested in my family. But did I really invest for me? This is the first time that I'm really investing in me. And because I have done that, I have seen the way my family has already changed. And it took 2 women. It took Jen Lara, which is why I said drop the bouquet in the comments. Because even in the middle of the messiness, she showed up. She created this event to amplify women's voices because when we walk in our truth, there is healing and there is freedom in that. So, 222 in the comments. If you see 222 now, just remember your girl. It's me. It is me. So, I want you to do me a favor because I believe we're going to wrap it up and I'm pretty sure I'm over my time. Oh, there was another tidbit that I wanted to say really quick, and I promise I'll wrap it up. I recently realized, did some digging and I did some learning, and I found an interesting fact. For women, it was about 65 to 74% of women who filed for divorce were over the age of 65, excuse me, not over the age of 65, they were in menopause. And I said to myself, well, this is so strange. Like, well, why would that happen? And so what I came to realize is during that time, your estrogen levels are dropping and your progesterone levels are dropping. And those are the same hormones that has kept you in the marriage, the same hormones that has decided to stay in that job, to fight, to give your all, to sacrifice. Guess what? Now it's plummeting at record levels and you don't have it to give. And so I decided I'm going to rewrite my narrative. I don't want to get to a place where when I get to that age, I have given up so much of myself that I want to throw in the towel. And so this is why I have decided to live presently in the future. Because when I invest in myself, everything around me, everyone around me changes, and they only change for the better. And I want nothing more than that for you as well. So when I get off here in a couple of minutes, that little boy is going to get off of that school bus and walk in here just as my daily visualization shows me. You can create the life that you love, and you don't have to wipe out everything. It doesn't have to necessarily be a clean slate. You just have to make some pivots and some turns, change some things here, change a little bit there. And you will get to where you are looking to go because you are presently in the future. So that is all that I have for now. If you would like to connect with me, by all means, I can drop my information in the chat. I know this, I'm a health and wellness coach, and I know I actually speak more about gut health and all these other things, and I had other things to tell you. I promise I did. But this is what was led on my heart to tell you to ensure that you do. We can always talk about the gut health later. So thank you, Jen.
Thank you so much, Samantha. I absolutely loved everything you were sharing, and you shared it with so much spirit and so much love, and I just love to hear it. And I don't know if you saw the comment section, but we were blowing you up. We had a lot of feedback and a lot of things to share, but yes, thank you so much. I really loved having you, and I'm glad that you moves with your intuition too. Like, you know what? This is what I'm feeling today, and this is what I want to share. And that was my favorite thing, because I'm like that. I I do that. I rarely too much plan what I'm going to say, because I'm going to say what I feel in the moment, you know? And so I really appreciate everybody that came out. Thank you, Samantha. We'll drop your links here too in the comments. But thank you everybody so much for who tuned in. It was just so beautiful to see it all unfold like this live, right? This is live streamed, and it was just so powerful listening to the speakers. I took a lot of notes, and it was very healing experience for me, very transformational for me. And so I really want to know how it felt for all of you as well. So definitely drop your feedback in the comments, and also share with us. You know, I want to hear it, and share with me on Instagram too. I will drop my Instagram as well, because I want to connect with all of you, and continue to share and amplify voices. So, and I want to hear your stories. We all have a story, and everyone's story is unique. And I do have several publishing opportunities coming up. So if you've been feeling the nudge, and you know, are just kind of feeling called and inspired by the speakers and the authors, then you know, this is your sign, and you should go for it. And I'm here to support that process. I would love more than anything to continue to share more beautiful stories that are going to create more impact in the world. And Jennifer says, thank you for putting us together with these wonderful warriors. Here's to continuing to heal. Our journeys still aren't done. Yes, I agree 100%. Thank you, Jennifer. Yes, our stories are still unfolding. We are still becoming. We're always going to be becoming. So, yes, thank you all so much. Let me just drop Samantha's information to connect with her on the chat here. So you can connect with her as well. And then you can connect with me too. I'll drop my information as well. And so I do want to share some of the upcoming publishing opportunities. We do have Moms Rise and Thrive is our next publication in September. Yay. I'm really looking forward to that one. And I really love to hear all the mom stories on here. So I can't wait to hear the mom stories in this book. And likely we will be hosting another event for that, and we'll be looking for speakers for that one too. So if you're all about that, then, and you love this, then come join us. Come be an author, come speak. Do what you feel called. I'm here for it, and I'm here to support it. And our next publication after that is Latinas Who Lead, publishing in October. Also really looking forward to that one, because, you know, we also need to amplify the voices of our Latinas. And that's something that I've recently felt called to do. And I think we need to make it happen. So that's our next publication. And then our following publication will be 100 Voices of Women Who Lead, and that one won't be publishing till next year. And we're looking for 100 authors in this one. We want to share as many voices as possible, right? So that's going to be a good one too if you're interested in publishing at a later date, not so soon. And I'll drop the details for that. I'll email them out, and I'll also share them on the socials. So keep staying tuned and hearing hearing into some of the upcoming opportunities that we have, because there's a lot of them, and I really love this, so we got to keep doing it. Yes, Amy, thank you. Perla, yes, Perla's already signed up to be an author in all of them. I can't wait to publish your solo books too, everybody. A lot of the authors got to share their stories and share their writing in just a chapter. And right, like I think our stories require whole books too, and not just one, multiple books. So I'm looking forward to being able to do that for everybody here. And I just dropped my social media here on the chat too. You can find me at I am Jen Lara, and Her Empire Media is our business account as well. And one more thing before we hop off, I did want to share that I also plan to host a retreat for Girl Heal, because I think that this movement requires a lot of depth, and books, live streams, retreats, events, it's all got to be a part of it. So I will, once I hash out more details for that, I will also be letting you know about the retreat. But that one likely will also happen next year, because, you know, we're getting close to the end of the year. And honestly, I need a break. I do need a break. I'm tired. And after hearing all of the speakers, I'm like, wow, you know, I really resonate with that. So I can't wait for all of the things. Thank you all for tuning in. It was really, really beautiful 3 days with you all. And I will share the replays as well for all of these videos. That way everybody can catch up, replay it, watch it over again, right? And take more notes if you need to. You know, maybe this was kind of a lot. Like, even for me, when I was listening to some of the speakers, I was like, wow, I really need to sit and reflect with some of these things, you know? And Amy says, are you looking for healers to help with the retreat? Yes, absolutely. Looking for healers, for speakers, for all the beautiful women that want to continue to create impact in these ways. So absolutely would love that. And Ebony says, exhausted. Amy says, yes, take a break. You deserve it. Thank you so much. I love that. I really appreciate all of you. Really, truly. This has, you know, meant the world to me from the bottom of my heart. So everybody, definitely give the round of applause to the authors and the speakers. You all were the reason why this movement was even possible, right? I am there, but first, some rest, says Jacqueline. Yes, exactly. Let's get some rest. Let's take care of ourselves first, and then we'll come back and make it all happen. And yeah, I think that's it, everybody. Thank you all so much. Give yourself a pat in the back for being here and for tuning in. And this was just absolutely amazing. So I have no more words. I said everything I needed to say for now. I will likely be sharing later, but thank you all so much. We're hopping off now. Bye, everybody.